I know it's not sunny, but I hope that you can give me the energy so we get the sunshine. Good morning. Yay! Okay, I have to tell you, I'm one of those speakers where I just don't talk. I need my audience to be involved. Are you ready to play? Yeah. So give me a clap if you're ready to play. Okay. All right, we have the energy in the room. I really like this. The time is on me. Are you sure the time is right? They say 8 minutes left. I thought I was giving 40 minutes. So I want to make sure I get it right. That's okay, I mean it, so I don't think I can go first. All right, cool. As I was introduced, my name is Flavilla Fongang, and it's giving me very much the corporate presentation of who I am and what I've accomplished. But I want to go a bit deeper with you, right? Are you okay with that? When you think about Paris, you can hear from my accent. I've been here for 20 years, but I still have a French accent. Any French in the room? There's no French? Okay, there's a few. Okay, it's okay, don't hide. When you think about Paris, what comes to your mind? Fashion, of course. What? Croissant, vous eat food. Huh? Garlic. Garlic? Okay. Usually people give me like French man, French woman, garlic, okay? That's point. Yeah, that works as well, exactly. Usually when people think about France, they also think about that, the Eiffel Tower. And when I remember when I first came to London, people say, oh my gosh, I was so excited every time I say I came from Paris. And I couldn't understand why. Because my vision of Paris was pretty much this. I was like, there's one side of Paris, and I'm looking forward to the Olympics. That's going to be so funny, right? People get there. Because there's a beautiful side of Paris, but there's also the ghetto of Paris that you don't probably never get to experience. But that was my upbringing. So I might be on this stage, as a successful person, but that's not really where I came from. I'm not saying you that to feel sorry for me. I'm saying that sometimes when you come from hardship, I don't know if you heard one of the keynote from the co-founder of NVIDIA, I said that sometimes you have to go through tough situation to be able to achieve great success and inspire and innovate, right? Something is happening on my screen right now, and I'm not sure what's going on. You sing the same thing as me, right? Yeah. All right, guys, tech team, let's get together. Thank you. All right, we're back. That happens. It's the first morning. So using that for me, I've never wanted people to feel pity for me. I've used my limitation to create innovation. And then one of the things I love the most was creativity and fashion. So fashion was a way, because I was really aware in terms of how I can use fashion, but the way I present myself, the way I present other people, because I had multiple careers. This is my 5th career, by the way. I've worked in oil and gas. Anybody worked in oil and gas in the room? Full of men, not like this room, which is good. I worked in fashion and luxury, now I'm in technology, social impact, and so much more. So I love the idea of always reinventing myself. And as my name defined it, Flavilla is also a butterfly. So it's 2 things that you find when you look Flavilla. It's a butterfly in me. So yes, there's always that. So working in the fashion space, which always inspired me, and I want to see if people who are fashionable in the room, does anybody know who created the smoking for women? Does anybody know? Yves Saint Laurent, of course. And Yves Saint Laurent was iconic, and is one of his designers who said one day, we must always surprise. And this really stuck with me with everything that I do. What does that mean? I really want you to remember this because it's super important, right? I think that I'm sharing with you will make sense in a minute. So, coming back to the crazy who I am, I decided to come to London, didn't speak a word of English 20 years ago, and I'm still here. But one thing that really that defines me is I love traveling. And my brother and I decided that one day we're going to go to Mexico. We're going to go to Mexico. We passed the visa section, and we wonder, why is this queue for? Can somebody guess? We've passed the visa section, so we've shown our passport. What is this queue for? Toilet. Good. Could be a good answer. I like that. All balances are welcome. It's not good or bad. Please try. Huh? Taxis, yeah, that could be that. We're still inside.
Tequila.
I thought exactly the same things. Are they giving you most tequila? No, guess what? It was for Starbucks. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, you travel all this way for Starbucks? Doesn't make sense for me. I would love to try something different. But it really made me think in terms of how does the brain work, really? What is the reason why people think the way they think? It's super important. We tend to often, especially why McDonald's, Starbucks, all these global brands work really well is because wherever we feel safe, this is what really drives us, right? We want to feel close to what we already know, especially in new territory. And as a marketer, where I decided to specialize and I really was fascinating by was with marketing. I really love the idea of in terms of how we make decisions. And as a marketer, I really advise you, the more you study psychology, the more you be better marketers in terms of everything from branding to marketing, in terms of how you create your copy, in terms of how you drive campaign. And I'm telling you, all things that I've done as an entrepreneur, I had no advertising budget. So I had to figure out how to be creative to make my money work faster. So we're not going to go into a conversation about neuromarketing, but I really wanted to explain a little bit in terms of the brain is divided in 3 parts. So you have reptilian brain, the limbic system, and the neurocortex. The brain is the most consuming part of our body, and its job is to keep us alive. So therefore, what it would do, we tend to make decision using the smallest part, which is the reptilian brain. So we want to keep us safe. The brain's job is to keep us safe, and sometimes we tap into our lazy brain, which means that when we're making decisions, sometimes we make decisions based on what we already know. Right now, it's in the morning, and I'm glad we're doing this conversation. We're having this talk in the morning, is you're using your neurocortex, which is the learning part of your brain. So, I have a question I want to ask you. Can you control your body? I like it, nobody answering. Can you control your body? Yeah? Yeah? Give me a clap if you can control your body. At least, yeah? Okay. All right, we're going to play a little bit. We haven't exercised. Some of you have not exercised this morning. It's okay. I got you. So, we're going to play it again. So with your right hand, we're going to use the right part of your body. From your side, it's going to look like I'm using the left part. I want you to draw number 6 in the air. I can see you, so you're going to have to do it, because otherwise I'm going to be staring at you. Number 6 in the air, as fast as possible. Honestly, it's fun. Please play with me, honestly. And then your right leg, continue at the same time. Same thing, turn your leg clockwise at the same time. As fast as you can. I've heard you say you could control your body. Wow. All right. How's it going? I am not a witch. I can promise you. Every time I do that, like, is she a witch? I ask you if you could control your body, and look at you. This is just your arm and your leg. Did you manage to do it? Did you manage to do it for more than 10 seconds? That was it? Yeah, yeah. You can control your body. So what I just created, I created a bit of a conflict between your arm and your leg. Yeah, that happens. And again, something I say, you'll be the best marketer when you understand psychology. I have another question to ask you. Can you control your thoughts? You're going to start doubting everything, isn't it? Can you control your thoughts? Okay, let's play. Are you ready to play? Yes? You told me you're ready to play. Okay, so with this part, I'm going to ask you to read out loud the color, not the word, the color that you see. Yeah? So at the same time, I'm going to show you my screen, so we'll start. Pink, gray, blue. Come on, guys. Yay! I give you A+. English A+. Are you ready to do it again, but faster? Remember, you're going to read out loud, fast, the color, not the word. Okay, let's go. Purple. Woo. Ah. Oh. Yeah. How did you do? Really good? Yeah. Why? I think you really... The reason why I like to do this exercise is to force you to challenge... The reason why I like to do this exercise is to force you to challenge everything that you think about. Today it's going to be... I'm not going to be here for an entire day, but pay attention because probably you come with preconceived ideas and people are going to challenge you today, and that's what you're here for anyway, right? The reason why I did is that most of the time our brain operates on what we already know. And when I challenge you to think differently, you reflect. So basically, the different parts of your brain are fighting right now. And that's why it's really hard. So when you think about how you're communicating and how you're creating content for your audience, keep it simple. This is a rule, really, really a rule. Keep it simple. And the more you talk to the reptilian brain, the easier it is for you to convince, right? And then you do into stages. Reptilian brain first, the limbic system, of the neural cortex. But that's another keynote. We don't have time for this today. The question is really, well, what the hell if you're doing all of that? It's quite fun, but this is not a magic show, isn't it? Yeah, we are marketers and really care about what we're going to do to achieve our goals, because otherwise we're going to be replaced by AI. Nobody wants to be replaced by AI. I don't know if you heard what the new Apple features, and people are really worried Grammarly is going to be redundant and so on, so many other things. The reason why it matters is because part of being a marketer or working in this field is that we also have to invest money, but a lot of that money is often wasted for bad campaign, bad guessing, and more assumptions we make, the more we create, the more we have less success in our approach. And this is something that we need to change. So I want to take you back in time, because I always say one day I'll be a professor, but not right now. I want to take it back in time in terms of our relationship with brands as consumers. Take your seat either as a consumer or as a brand has evolved. And it's really important to understand where you are. Remember, I should say as well, our previous conversation, I like to reward the brave. I think that makes sense. So really pay attention to everything I say, because it will matter at the end. So I'm going to take, for example, for this presentation, Nike. Or say Nike or Nike, however you present it. So the way this is the area of the beginning of industrialization, the way campaigns were run were very much about how to expand products. It was about new innovation, new product commercialization, industrialization. So people wanted to know the price. This was the era of 50s, 70s in terms of how we communicated with our clients. Then after that, we realized, you know what, I don't want to be driving the same car as my neighbor. I want to have choice. So therefore, you could have a pair of trainers for tennis, a pair of trainers for basketball, and whatever you want. It was about that. So it was about the what. So visual was very important. Can somebody guess what happened in the 90s? Something very traumatic for Nike. They could almost dissipate. Can anybody guess? I will tell you because it's really hard to remember. Yes, sweatshop are not really a thing anymore. So brands need to be more transparent, because I don't know really, but I was not comfortable wearing shoes was made by kids in China or Africa. So we had to do something different. And for that, we moved into the area of positioning. Everybody familiar with Simon Sinek? I'm sure. Yes? You all heard of it? Simon Sinek? Simon Sinek? Wow. You've a why? Start with why? Everybody familiar with start with why? Okay, a few hands. Yeah, it's very important. So where you communicate with your audience, the what and the how doesn't matter so much. It's pretty much a why. And if you look at how most companies, the most successful companies, Apple, Starbucks, whatsoever, start with why. Why are you doing what you do? And in this case, Nike was about unleashing the greatness within each of us. Each of us can be an athlete if you wear a pair of Nike. If you wear a pair of Adidas, you probably don't exercise. Yeah, you probably do something else. You probably look cool, but you probably don't exercise. All right, so where are we right now? Where are we right now? In which era are we? And I'm going to give you a clue, because I like to give clue. Somebody guess. Have a guess? Don't be scared. Have a guess. Don't be scared. Come on. The bravest. Who is brave? Huh?
2010?
Hmm?
Well, 2008, 2010.
Yeah, so where are we right now? This is our era.
Personalized.
Huh?
Personalized.
Personalized, yeah, you're into it.
The app era.
Huh?
The app era.
Yes, for sure. Online. All of these are good answers. Okay, I will tell you. We're in the era of emotion, right? You no longer control what your brand is. Your customers do. That's why this event is very relevant. It's no longer about your era of digital space, right? So it's about who. Your power now every day, and somebody can destroy your brand in one day, right? I don't know if you see the makeup brand, iMac, who launched a makeup brand that was so black that they didn't understand the target audience. And that's really important that you understand that. It's no longer about you, and the more you work as such, your budget will be much more effective in terms of how you run your delivery of your work and attract and convert prospect. Do you agree with me? Give me a clap if you agree. Hey! Right. I want you to think, you don't have to give me an answer out loud. I want you to think about a brand that you love, a brand that, or even just a couple of brands, not a lot, but what are the brands that you really love? What do they do? Rafen, what do you love it? What do you love it? Tell me. I know you have to carry on. Now you spoke. You have to carry on. What do you love it?
Amazing quality, luxury, authenticity.
Sounds so like you, isn't it?
And it's definitely worth it.
And he works for them, so he's
Good promotion.
Good promotion. I like that. I find it's good when it comes to status. Anybody else want to share? Brother, okay, tell me why.
Look at you are. They're doing more for the world than any other brand.
Any other brand, yeah, we change. He's onto something. Brands that you love exceed your expectations. I want you to think about the brand that you represent right now. Are you exceeding your customers' expectations? If the answer is no, I want you to work on it. And you talk about Tesla, it's probably one of the brands that really exceeded people's expectation when it comes to what the car is able to do, right? So you want to win their heart to win their pocket. I mean, say loyalty, or win their pocket, win their loyalty. Very important. So a big question to think when you come back to work with your team, are you exceeding your customers' expectation? And the idea of what he's saying with Tesla is that Tesla literally disrupted the status quo. Do you feel that your company is disrupting the status quo? It doesn't have to. I feel like it's difficult to do such, but it's not. And I'm going to give you exactly the 4 elements that will help you disrupt. Innovation, delight, surprise, and partnership. So we're going to break it down, and I'm going to take you through that. Obviously, this is the era of technology, and technology can take us much further. I know people will say that, how on earth do you work with some of the most amazing brands, Google, Accenture, TikTok, and your agency is so tiny? It's like, well, because I'm really good at using technology, and if you're not using it, you're probably behind with me. But I think we need to start with the evolution of men and technology. So we went from that to that. That's a massive evolution, right? And then we've seen this. That doesn't prove to be scary. Yeah, we want to replace us. And then what's very interesting, a study also came out and showcased the side effect of us working from home. I don't know if it was an employer who was trying to get us back to the office. And it showed us that this is how we're likely to look at the side effect of working from home. Again, I just want to emphasize, maybe he's a grower or shower. Yeah, maybe we'll know. Anyway, coming back to the fact that the question I wanted to ask you is that can technology act as a catalyst for client acquisition? Because at the end of the day, that's what we are here. And are we utilizing all the tools that are available for us to do what we do and supercharge us? So I want to take you to my own personal story to tell you in terms of how I've done it as well for myself. So as I told you, I went from oil and gas, fashion, and then come back to technology. And what was really my normal was very much a space where it was not very diverse. And being a black woman, I definitely stood out. So I always wore color. That really didn't intimidate me at all whatsoever, but it doesn't mean that's something that should be accepted. So I sat on the top of a cliff. No, I'm kidding, I didn't do that. I really thought, you know what? I'm going to be more visible. I'm going to be on the shadow and talk about what I do. And be super excited about that. You know, for me, is that when I face any difficult situation, I try to find the positive side and bring that to everything that I do. Super important. And this is why I'm so happy to have an army of allies behind me. So, yeah, so when I started my journey to technology, then, you know, gained something, I traveled and so much more. And one of my first business trips was going to Cambodia with a client who wanted to create the first Formula One racetrack. And then, boom, I saw this ad. It said, come to Cambodia. I really want you to understand the culture. What is odd about this campaign? It is a campaign for a Cambodian beer, as it say, Cambodia. What is odd about this campaign? I know it's a bit blurry because that's the best picture I could find. Can somebody tell me what is odd about this picture? Yes. Who said that? Yes. The thing is odd is that they're advertising for a Cambodian brand. You have a Caucasian person at the center, and right on the left-hand side, you have an Eurasian people, a woman and a man. And then right on the corners, you have Cambodian. What it tells you is that to be able to appeal to the Cambodian, you have to put a Caucasian man in the center. Isn't that odd? Yeah? Especially, imagine if you have to advertise for a British brand, you have to put an Asian person in the center to convince the British people to eat the food. And I really realized that, oh my gosh, I was so narrow-minded. The world is not the way I perceive it, right? And I love the fact that you're here. Really talk to as many people as possible because you will change your mind every time you speak to a new person. But I really quickly realized that if I want to be able to have a great company and I want to be, my team needs to be diverse because my audience is diverse, right? And boom, I had this aha moment. So working agency, and when I decided that I'm going to supercharge, I'm going to use the power, again, whatever it is for affiliation, but my community to take this further. So I launched GTA Black Women in Tech. I'm not going to go too further than that. Again, using psychology. I wanted to play around in terms of how can I change and change the perception of Black women in tech, addressing colorism and dark skin discrimination. How can I tell the stories of Black women in tech that have never been told? And I've created 3 books so far. We're creating our 4th book this year, The Voices in the Shadow, that will be distributed to schools across the UK and Ireland. And without zero budget, I have a growing community of 22,000 people with zero budget. The way I've done it, using the power of my community. Tapping into that was super powerful, and this is how the introduction to some of the biggest brands happened after and over and over. What I really want to try for you to communicate is that really change the perception and the journey that you have, the way you interact with your audience and your stakeholders. If you separate them and put that at the end of your delivery, you're missing out so much. The more they're at the center of what you do, the more you diminish the cost of acquisition and more effective that, remember that we are in the area of emotion. Your audience is not detached from whatever you're trying to achieve. They should be much more involved. Because everything that I've done has very much be very organic, right? And remember that I told you is that we must always surprise. I can't remember. When's the last time you surprised it? And then now it takes me to, hopefully it works, I don't know if it works. It takes me to a journey of creating the first interactive history map that tells the story of how Black women have impacted the world across the UK and Ireland, presented to the United Nations again. Yes? And I want to show you that. Again, this is on our website. Here we're talking about exceeding your expectations. How can you exceed your customers' expectation? Again, coming back to that, innovation, surprise, delight, and partnership. Clicker is a bit slow, but I'm getting there, I promise. All right, so. Unfortunately, the story of this creator didn't end well, but I think he understood when it comes to surprise, the power of how you can go super, further. One thing that when you buy something online, customer service is always rubbish, right? You always have to wait hours and hours. This man will pick up the phone and speak to his customers, or sometimes write the most amazing letters, and that gets him talking, and obviously became one of the biggest companies. I think it was acquired by Amazon, and I can't remember. But again, how can you take further where something is probably conceived as a status quo, and you can disrupt it, when people think that it always has to be done this way? Anybody recognize this brand? Ah, Five Guys. If anybody from Five Guys should be very happy. There's not a single brand in it, and you recognize it. Can I tell you what is great about this? Can somebody tell me what is great about this?
Yeah.
Go on.
They're exceeding our expectations.
You get it? How?
And then you look at the bag, it's full of chips, and then you're like, oh wow, they're giving me extra.
Exactly, extra. But what does it mean? What are the departments involved into this?
Marketing.
And?
Psychology.
There's no department. Do you have a psychology department? Think about it. Product, of course. Yes? Sometimes most of the, yes, you together, you work together?
Yeah.
Okay, do not leave each other. This is very important.
Oh,
Very
no,
important.
we're not together.
No, understand. I mean, I got that. I know, I got that. This is a business environment, don't worry. I got it. But that's what I'm saying, that sometimes creativity and ingenuity comes back to how we actually collaborating with our department. If product made exactly what you want a big size, I give you a big size. But actually making the box much smaller gives you a bit more excitement, right? So I do like going to get the fries just for that. All right. Again, personalization. With technology, I'm talking Coca-Cola here as an example. But how can everybody wants to feel special? This is the problem, isn't it? Technology gives us the ability to create that. But how can we take it further? Another band that I love, anybody recognize, right? Anybody recognize? Huh? No. You don't recognize? Okay, yes, Alicia Keys. And the brand? Lego, of course. Lego could have died years ago. How do you know recognizing Lego? Just by the symbol in it. Lego could have died years ago, but they really understand the power of how they will create a number of partnerships. Again, we're talking here about affiliation and so much more, but what are you doing to stay relevant? Innovation doesn't have to come from inside. Innovation can also come from the partnership that you're creating. The more you do that, the more you keep excited, and also brings you closer to other niches that you have not approached, right? We talked earlier on about the importance of also how utilizing what's in front of them, their phone. Everybody knows they have their phone in their hand. Can you make it more interactive, especially if your product is digital? I don't know if you came across this brand of wine with Snoop Dogg. Anybody seen it? Snoop Dogg is a brand of wine. Have you seen it? Have you? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, Cali wine. And you know, when you scan it, you have Snoop Dogg in front of your face. I'm like, ooh. I was like, what's going on? Yeah. So how can you surprise again, exceed the expectation? And make exciting. And sometimes, even if I don't drink wine, I just want to buy it, just for the sake of it, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Again, we're talking about partnership here, right? Anybody recognize? And? Huh? Okay, it's really hard. It's Moonpig, yes? Not every girl wants flowers for Valentine's Day. Sometimes you can be very original. I mean, it could be chicken. But again, something like, what are the things that could be more original? Go again where you're not. Again, we must always surprise. If I want you to remember something from my talk, is that how are you exceeding your customers' expectation, and how are you surprising them into the way that keeps them excited about what are they going to do next? It's super important. Do you agree with me? Give me a clap if you agree with me. Yeah. All right. What I want to tell you is that the future is now. We talked earlier on about how some of the brands out there do so well and really integrating not just the big corporation, but also the day-to-day customers who have spent a lot of time in building a relationship with their audience, you know? Each of us has power, and I think even you as a marketer, utilizing your personal brand to tap into beyond, to reach out further with your brand. Are you utilizing who you have in front of you? 20,000 customers. I don't know how many customers you have. But you have 20,000 customers. It's 20,000 ways of getting closer to your next person. And if you're not utilizing that, you're missing out. Again, I think it comes down to the fact that, again, I've come from a background where I didn't have much. I had to make the most of what I had. So technology was my superpower, but also utilizing people that trust me and with my community helped me reduce. It was just an effective way to be more effective with my delivery and what I wanted to achieve, right? So what are you doing to make sure that your customers is not just a customer, but actually part of your community? So the future is now. The future sits in what you do with your audience, and it's your chance now with technology that allows you to take you further to do that. You know, when somebody buys Nike, they don't just buy Nike, you see people running. Anybody runs? Anybody runs? Nobody runs? Yes. The runners, they find groups, so have a network. You showcase. I remember some people used to share all the time. I've done 20,000 miles. Like, I don't really care, but it's there on my social feed. But this is what it's about. You know, when you create your product, what is the ecosystem that you're creating, right? The more you're creating an ecosystem around your product or your services, the more it's really hard to live them. You know, I'm an Apple product. I'm an Apple person. I have a watch, everything else. It's really hard to live. Even though I know that the Samsung has better photos. Raise your hand if you know that the Samsung has better photos. And you still with iPhone. It happens a lot. What the hell? Why? When you think about Iron Man, what comes to your mind? What I want you to think like Iron Man. What does that really mean? Huh? Tech innovation, yeah? Hero, yes! We're all heroes, beyond that. What Iron Man, if you watch, anybody watch, you must have watched Marvel, right? Yes? So one thing that he always does is he always co-create. He never started building on his own. He has this Jarvis, who is now his own person, who used to help him create whatever he wanted to do. And it's really important to have that in mind in terms of how you develop your product, or how you develop your campaign, or whatever you're trying to achieve. It's never you on your own because somebody else will be like, thinking like Iron Man. What is the technology that supercharge my relevance? What is supercharge my activities and my campaign? And this is what you want to achieve. Because I am a big fan of model. This is probably you want to take a screenshot. I love to do that. Apply it the way you want it to do. But I love the idea of take creativity models to help you think in terms of how you take things further. And the first step is always ideation and integration. How you come up with your concept and take it further, and then really create the enablement, concept enablement. How does this come to life, no matter what you want to do, whether it is a campaign or a product. The second phase, I always believe, this is dynamic creation, and that dynamic creation comes back to how you're utilizing technology for innovation, delight, surprise, and partnership, right? It's super, super key. Before you take a screenshot, allow me to share the last slide, promise. And then impactful delivery, engagement, and refinement. These are really the key powerful tools in terms of how you can apply it effectively. Delight, surprise, innovation, and partnership. If you have those three into places, there's no way you're going to be irrelevant in the next 20 years to go. So that leaves me with a question. Technology will not replace you. Who will? Can somebody answer? Who will replace you if it's not technology? More creative people. Somebody said China. Last time I said that, I was out. I was like, wow. Huh?
People in charge of the technology.
People in charge of the technology. It's exactly what you say. The person who is using it will replace you. And it's very important to really tap into what are the possibilities to rethink. I started at the beginning of this conversation by showing that whatever you're thinking can be rethought, right? Whatever you're doing right now could be reimagined. Whatever you do things, it's time for you to challenge the status quo of everything you're trying to achieve with your delivery. So this is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. All right. I said my presentation is finished, but I did say that I like to reward the bravest. So I want to ask you a question, and I try to think about a good question. We talked about exceeding expectation. What was the second thing that was super important? Delight? Surprise? Partnership. Who said partnership first? Okay, I have to ask another question. All right. As the first one to raise your hand, so I would like to give you one of my exceptional, there's only 10 copies left. You have to come and get it. My pleasure. My pleasure. I think we have time for questions. I have about 5 minutes left. Please do ask me, challenge me. Nobody wants to ask me? Yes.
When you get your bag of fries from Five Guys,
Yeah.
and you're expecting to get a big, overflowing pot of fries, you're expecting that. So you're not surprising or delighting anymore. You're just expecting it.
Exactly. Yes. And this is why this innovation journey, innovation and expectation is not one thing that you do once in a while. Like, it's like, what are we doing next year? What are we inventing? This is why, the iPhone 5, 13 to 12 or 15 is exactly the same thing. But what's inside is the iOS, the evolution, right? Whatever it is. I don't know if anybody's seen the presentation. It's like you can now write your calculation. It will calculate for you. I just think that it will make people very dumb to my choice, but it's not for me to decide. But I think it's that, from the point people now expect, it's no longer you exceeding the expectation. And it's why you should always figure out what is next for them, what they want. And I think it's important to really keep open the dialogue with that audience. And sometimes I always say that the customers who are unhappy give you the key for your next innovation. And it's so important. And if you build that community around your brand, you always know what next to be done. And your innovation is always organic. I use so many. It really depends what it's for. If it's for sales, I like to use Meet Alfred. If it is for affiliate marketing, well, I use Partnerize. If it is for copywriting, obviously ChatGPT is my best friend, but I like to combine it with Copy AI. Everything that I do, I always try to, because I always say to my team, be smart, lazy. Like, huh? Yes, if you can leave early, leave early. I don't want you to stay late. That's not the point. That's not how I evaluate your work. And I think now with technology, the time, we cannot compare the time, the value of our human time, compare the value of technology, or value of what technology gives us. But if you allow your team to be clever, and I remember I said that to one, and I said, oh my gosh, she's gonna fire me. It's like, I want you to figure out how your job can be replaced right now. So you can be more effective with your time and you can do something that makes sense to you. If you keep that in mind, they will always find a way to be their own entrepreneur within the company. And that's super important. But I think in everything that you do, again, is be curious. What are the things that are there? Because if somebody has created, if you think about it, somebody has already done it.
In your career, how do you exceed expectations?
The way I exceed expectation, that's a great question. The way I exceed expectation, I always keep an eye in terms of what is happening in my market. So most people look at a negative and see as a negative. The way I see it, I see a negative as an opportunity. So if people complain about something like you think about everybody was, oh, it's so annoying to wait for the taxi. That was an Uber opportunity. Or everybody complain about, I can't find black talent. For me, that's an opportunity. So the more you look at the negativity, again, customers who are unhappy about the market in general, it's an opportunity for you to innovate. And if you keep that in mind and align it, it's like, okay, well, this is not something that I should accept and anybody should accept, then you have an opportunity for innovation. That's really the best way to look into it. And then, again, something, the closer you are to your audience, sometimes they actually give you the route to innovation. This book didn't come out of my head. It was just the fact that I had so many great stories. Like, I'm going to compile it, put it into a book, and give it to schools so they don't know, because schools are not even aware of what are all the different tech tools that are available out there. So it's for them as well to guide those kids. If you are parents, those teachers, do they know, do we give your kids the right information? Yeah? So as parents, we have to be very proactive into that, right? But yeah, so if you look at all the complaint, it's a secret to innovation and exceeding expectation. 3 minutes. Anybody else? Who is brave? Come on.
My question to you is, what keeps you going? As in, you wake up every morning, what's your driving force that gets you up and running every day to continue doing what you do?
Yeah, it's such a great question. If I was doing it for money, trust me, it would not be enough. Trust me, money doesn't motivate me anymore. When you achieve a point where you have what you want, it doesn't really matter. Remember what I said to you, why is important. If you know why you're doing what you do, it never feels like it's a torture. So my why is key. I've realized that I'm an enabler. This is the title that I like to give myself. I'm able to see people's talent before they even see it, whatever it is for my team, whatever it is for the clients that I work with. And that's what I want to do, create a space where we allow as many opportunities people to see their full potential. That's what gets me excited. And when I see it, poof, my job is done. So that's for that. I think we're done. We don't have time for more questions.
A few more questions.
You do?
That come through on Slido.
Okay.
Win the heart to win their loyalty. When was the last time a brand won your heart and loyalty?
As me personally? God, I'm so hard to satisfy French women. Do you know, it's so funny because we talk a lot about technology, but I think what really gets me excited is still the human interaction. I think we forget that the element of, as much as technology is relevant, but what people are always craving for is for human interaction. And I think what I get from brands such as, I was thinking about the last brand I interacted, I don't want to sound so bougie and say a very expensive brand, but yeah, so that element of they're prepared to go the extra mile. When you go to a hotel, you tell them that you are tired, and when you wake up and you come to the bed and they prepared something extra just for you because they heard this. For me, that's amazing. You know, when you go to Disney, they've been told that they cannot say, I don't know. Part of their rule as a company, if somebody asks a second question, they never say, I don't know. So what are the rules that you create to make sure that you always delight and you're always prepared to help the customers? And I think that's why I like that, again, from the idea of, I didn't ask for it, but you did it anyway. That's what gets me excited. And if you can do that on bigger scale, using technology effectively and personalization, you have a customer forever. And I think that's brilliant.
Perfect. You've got an amazing background from a work perspective.
Yeah.
If you were looking, if a company was to approach you today, maybe as in an advisory capacity or in a full-time role, what would be your non-negotiables?
Yeah, I think good question. So I never look at anything just because of the money. I always look in terms of the impact, because you can make good money, but if the impact is bad, it doesn't make sense. I always look, for me, what's important is that I will always look at the importance of the ESG agenda, what really matters to them in terms of diversity on the board, whatsoever, what role do they play in terms of reducing disparity or creating accessibility. Social disparity, I mentioned this again, this is super important because the more we take these societal issues from the get-go as a company, that will drive me to get excited. I mean, I sit on a number of government boards to help us get more women returners, because women after pregnancy sometimes get chucked in the back, where actually they are the best people to work with because they don't have to multitask and so many other things. So that's really important for me as well.
And last one here, what's been your biggest mistake and what have you learned from it?
Oh, I made so many mistakes, you have no idea. I think hiring people who do not see the vision, again, I think you just hire people because they're good at what they do, but they can be like a bad apple in your business. And I think when people see what you're trying to achieve, I think you do not, people when they work with my team, they just don't design a logo or create a campaign. They understand the change that they want to make for this client. If they see the end goal in mind, and I think that's what's so important. If you give people the independence to take ownership, then they don't have to be attached to me. And I think that's what's so important. So I think talent is so important. And hiring people who really care about what they do makes a big difference. And they love it. And give them the room for growth and they take it further. And that's what I've done even from people who are very young, come from university. They're scared, they lack of experience. But if you give them a chance, they will go 100 miles and do the great things. So that's something, give people chances.
Perfect.
Thank you, everybody. Been great audience.